Kyoto and good morning, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Welcome to the weekly Sunday Puja and Dhamma Sharing online, organized by Masatim Patana Buddhist Center Society and supported by Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia. Today is the 17th January 2021. To start the Puja, we shall cross over to Malacca. Over to you, Sister Kut.
Sukhi Hotu, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. We are very grateful that in spite of the MCO and the pandemic, that we are still able to come together as Kalyana Mitras for our regular TBCM Sunday Puja. Now let us compose our minds and prepare ourselves to commence our regular TBCM Sunday Puja as I read the reflections on the offerings. Offering of lights. May we offer these candles burning brightly out of deep respect and veneration to our enlightened master, the Buddha. May these lights symbolically guide us to the light of the Dhamma, which dispels the darkness of greed with the light of generosity, the gloominess of hatred with the light of love, and the darkness of ignorance with the light of wisdom through the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha. Offering of joss sticks and incense. May we offer these joss sticks and incense out of deep respect and veneration to our blessed Master, the Buddha. May our good deeds be like the fragrance of these joss sticks, cultivating compassion, patience, tolerance, understanding, and love towards all living beings. Offering of water. May we offer this water to symbolize our aspirations to cultivate the virtues of calmness, clarity, and purity. Let it remind us to diligently cleanse ourselves of our spiritual defilements and delusions through the cultivation of generosity, compassion, and wisdom. Offering of flowers. These flowers too we offer out of deep respect and gratitude to our compassionate Master, the Buddha. These flowers, sweet, beautiful, and choice, are clustered at the feet of our noble Master. Beautiful as they are now, they will soon, with the passing of time, wilt and fade and be cast away. Reflecting thus on this very nature of unsatisfactoriness, impermanence, and soullessness, let us tread the path shown by the Buddha for the eradication of suffering here and now. We shall now pay our respects to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha by saying sadhu 3 times.
Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. We shall compose ourselves and pay homage to the Buddha, Dhamma, and Sangha to begin with this morning's puja. So let's compose ourselves as we recite together. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang saranang gacchami. Dhammang saranang gacchami. Sanghang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Dutiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi buddhang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi dhammang saranang gacchami. Tatiyampi sanghang saranang gacchami. Panatipata veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Adinadana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Kamesu miccācara veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Musavada veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Surameraya majja pamadatana veramani sikkhapadang samadhiyami. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho viccacarana sampanno sugato anuttaro purisa dhamma sarati satta deva manussanang buddha bhagavati. Swakato bhagavata dhammo sanditthiko akaliko ehi pasiko opanayiko paccatang veditabbo vinyuhiti. Supatipanno bhagavato savaka sangha ujupatipanno bhagavato savaka sangha nyayapatipanno bhagavato savaka sangha samicipatipanno bhagavato savaka sangha yatidang Tari purisa yugani atta purisa puggala esa bhagavato savaka sangha ahuneyo bahuneyo dakineyo anjali karaniyo anuttarang punyaketang lokasati. Vandami cetiyang sabbang sappatane supatititang saririka dhatu maboding buddha rupang sakalang sada. Yasamule nisinnova sabbari vijayang akam Pato sabanyutang satta vande tang bodhipadapang ime te ma bodhi lokanatena pujita ahang pite namasami bodhi raja namatute. Ganasara paditena dipena tamadang sina tiloka dipang sambuddhang pujayami tamonudang ganda sambara yuttena dupena hang sugandhina Pujaye pujaniyantang puja bhajana muttamang Adivase tu no bante paniyang parikapitang anukampang upadaya patigan hatu muttamang Adivasetu no vante bhojanam parikapitam anukampang upadaya patiganhatu muttamang Adivasetu no vante gilana paccayang imang anukampang upadaya patiganhatu muttamang Vannaganda guno petang etang kusuma santati Pujayami munindasa siripada sarorue Pujemi buddhang kusumena nena punyena metena cahotu mokkang Pupang nilayati yata idang me kayo tatayati vinasa bhavang Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahidika Punyantang anumodetva cirang rakhantu loka sasanang Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahidika Punyantang anumodetva cirang rakhantu desanang Akasatta ca bhummatta deva naga mahidika Punyantang anumodetva cirang rakhantu mang paranti Devo vasatu kalena sasa sampati hetu ca Ito bhavatu loko ca raja bhavatu dhammiko Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo Imina punya gammena mame bala samagamo Satang samagamo hotu yavanit bana pattiya Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang Acayang kamame bante buri panya tathagata Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang Acayang kamame dhamma sandittika akalika Kayena vacha cittena pamadena maya katang Acayang kamame bante supatipanna anuttara Now we shall chant the Metta Sutta together. Karaniya matta kusalena yantang santang padang avisamecha sakko uju cha suju cha suvacho cha samudu anatimani santusako cha subaro cha Chocha sallahu kabuti santindriyo cha nipako cha Pagabbo kulesu ananugi Dona cakutang samacare kinci yena vinyo pare upavade yung sukinova sabe satta bhavantu sukitatta yeke cipana bhutatti tasava tavarava anavasesa digava ye mahantava nukadula dittava yeva aditta ye ca dure vasanti avidure Bhutava sambhave siva sabbe satta bhavantu sukhita Tana paro parang nikubeta nati manyeta kata cinang kanci biaro sana patika nanya manya sadukha micceya mata yata niyang putang Ayusa eka putta manurake evang pisa babhutesu manasang bhavaye aparimanang mettang ca sabba lokasming manasang bhavaye aparimanang Uddang adocha tiriyancha asampadang averang asapatang titang carang nisinova sayanova vigata middo etang sating aditeya brahma metang viharang idamahudit Tinca anupagamma silavadasanena sampanno kame suvineya gedang nahi jatu gappaseyang punareti etena sajja vajjena te jaya mangalang etena sajja vajjena kaya upasamintu te etena sajja vajjena hotu te jaya mangalang sadhu sadhu sadhu
Today's Dhamma Sharing is led by Dd Leng Huat. He was the ex-president of Theravada Buddhist Council of Malaysia and a regular Dhamma speaker. Over to you, Dd Leng Huat.
Sukhihotu, brothers and sisters in the Dhamma. Yeah, our screen is an old screen which says happiness, but today we will talk about aspirations. Inspiration. Our title is Inspiration today. Yeah. Before that, let me also apologize that we are not able to do the live sharing from Aloka Buddhist Center. So as such, I'm doing it from my home due to the the MCO restrictions. So coming back to the Dhamma sharing, the last time I met you, we spoke on happiness. Yeah. Happiness, when I wish you Happy New Year, I told you that I wish you with these 4 thoughts in mind. One is all we say the Ati Sukha. That means when I wish you Happy New Year with economic bliss. And also we say with the Bhoga Sukha, that means I also wish you to be able to enjoy the bliss, the economic bliss that you have actually accrued, that you work hard for your whole life. May you live long to enjoy this. And the third New Year greeting that I have in mind is Ananya Sukha, which means may you remain debtless, so that you have better peace of mind to practice the Buddha Dhamma. And last but not least, I wish you for Anavijja Sukha, which means to say that I wish you to have blameless, moral, and spiritual life. Yeah. And also we spoke about Dhamma Ladda, earning the correct way. We referred to the Vanijja Sutta, with 5 kinds of trade that we should avoid. Yeah, 5 kinds of trade that should be avoided. I'm sure you know, I will not repeat that. And also I have quoted from the Mangala Sutta, which says that with our money, with whatever money that we have saved, that we have, we will also make sure we support our aged parents. And this is found in the Mangala Sutta. It says, Mata Pitu Upatanang. And also with the cherishing of wife and children, we must also help our relatives and friends. So why do we do this? How to continue the happiness, we say. How do we continue the happiness? For this life, during this life, to continue the happiness is we don't overspend. Yeah, whatever the savings we have during our retirement, we don't overspend. That is one way to continue this happiness in this present life. But then how to continue again in our next life, we say. Well, we believe in our next life. So what we say is, for the next life, we want to continue with such happiness, with such things that we enjoy today. We must do more dana. We perform dana so that we get the merits that will help us in our next rebirth. So our next rebirth will also be kind to us and will be just as prosperous as we are today. Yeah. And then also briefly, we spoke about letting go. We say that people like to say, let go, let go. So we are saying, let go of what? You know, everybody like to say, let go, let go. So we have briefly sum up for you. We say, let go of the idea that we cannot be happy. Yeah. Everybody can be happy because happiness is from within. Yeah. We must give up the idea that happiness is from materiality. We also must give up that idea. Let go of that idea because happiness is again found within. So we say let go of these ideas that we cannot be happy or that we cannot be happy without materials. So we let go of this idea. And last but not least, we hope that through our practice, we will we let go of the greed, the hatred, and the delusion. And that is the target of the Theravada Buddhists. Now, all Buddhists, our target is to get rid of greed, hatred, delusion, so that we become enlightened. In our context, in the Theravada context, we get rid of greed, hatred, delusion, we become an arahant. We follow the Buddha's Dhamma, we are enlightened as an arahant. So that is the meaning of letting go. So we have said let go means let go of these things. So today we shall talk about the inspiration we get from the Buddha. Particularly people like me, who as I get older, I continue with the Dhamma Dutta work because I'm inspired by the Buddha. So let us touch on the Buddha. He was born as Prince Siddhartha, in the kingdom of Kapilavastu. As sometimes in Sanskrit they say Kapilavastu. So he was born in the kingdom of Kapilavastu, and of course he will live a life of luxury. He has got a palace for winter, palace for summer, and life of music, wine, women, and songs. He had beautiful life because the father was afraid that he will renounce. Because when he was born, there was an ascetic called Asita who actually prophesied that he can become a great monarch or he can become a very great universal teacher. So the father was afraid that he would renounce, so gave him all the luxury in life. And he married a beautiful wife called Princess Yashodhara, had a nice baby called Rahula, Prince Rahula. Yeah. So now, he had all this comfort at home, but still, the 4 sights that inspired him, that triggered him to renounce, the sight of an old man. He realized that, you're all getting old, Then he saw a sight of a sick man. Then as you grow old, you become sick. And then he saw a sight of a funeral. He saw a funeral. So people dying, he saw a dead man. So then after that, the fourth sight, he saw an ascetic. Those days, there are many ascetics. That's a common practice those days. And he saw the sight of ascetic. So these four sights kind of triggered him to search for the truth, to overcome this suffering of birth and rebirth. Birth, growing old, sickness, you die and you're reborn, and then you grow old again, you fall sick again, and you die. So he was trying to find a solution. So for that, he sacrificed, and he had to leave the comfort of the palace. He left his beautiful wife, beautiful and loving wife, and a beautiful little baby. Not that he abandoned them. Some critics will say that he abandoned his family. No, but he left them for the sake, because he had a great compassion in him. Great compassion in him that he wanted to help mankind. Right? And this training was not from this life itself. Training started when he was born as Sumedha during the time of Dipankara Buddha. So the time when he was a rich man also. Then when he saw the Buddha, Dipankara Buddha, so he vowed that he also wants to be like that, and that he wants also to help us. That was why through eons and eons, these are not stories for thousands of years ago. These are stories millions of years ago, many lifetimes he went through. He perfected his paramis. That was why he could leave his family and the comfort of the home, because he has perfected his parami. Many of us will think that, wow, it's impossible, brother, to leave your family like that, impossible. Yes, because we have not perfected our paramis. Question is, do we need to perfect our paramis? We don't need, because if we learn from the Buddha, then we can become arahant. And arahant also break the cycle of this rebirth. But like I've explained during my last, I think my Monday talk, I said that there are 3 ways to become enlightened, that is become a Sammasam Buddha or Pachaka Buddha or an arahant. So these are the things, So eventually he left home and he went through training under 2 great masters. The 2 great masters, very stringent training, very stringent in Alara Kalama, and also Udaka Ramaputta. So these are the 2 great teachers, very renowned teachers. He trained under them. He achieved very high level of, he went up to the realm of nothingness. Then Ramaputta taught him up to the realm of perception or non-perception. He went to very high level. But he's still not happy, because he did not show him, did not tell him, did not solve the issue of suffering, that he wants to know how to overcome this suffering. So he went on his own. So he had got 5 of his friends with him. Then eventually when he went on his own, they went through very stringent practice where they ate maybe 1 grain of rice a day, or they never ate at all. They went through very stringent practice. He became like a skeleton, thinking that punishing this body, the mind can be enlightened. It didn't work. Through his experience, it didn't work. So what he did, he ate a little bit of the milk rice, and his friends saw, and his friends panicked. The 5 friends deserted him, left him alone. They said, no, he has given up. So they continue that kind of austerity drive, that kind of austerity life, very tough life. When the Buddha was alone, eventually under the Bodhi tree, he was enlightened. So when he was enlightened, what did he think first? Of course, he spent about 7 weeks there under the Bodhi tree, experiencing Nibbanic bliss, and then focusing on the tree, trying to reflect gratitude towards the Bodhi tree. Then he built the psychic power, the Ratanagara, a jewel palace for him to pace up and down, so that the Brahma don't think that he has given up. So he did many things, 7 weeks there. Then after the 7 weeks, he decided that it's time to teach the world. It's time to share what he has found. He shared the truth with the other people. Whom did he choose first? He chose his 5 friends. Of course, he chose for his first 2 masters, but they were all dead by then. So he remembered his 5 friends have deserted him. So he went to see them. So on the 7th week, the last night of the 7th week, the next morning he walked, from Bodh Gaya to Savatthi, to Varanasi. And he walked that from Bodh Gaya to Varanasi to look for his friends. And he was approximately 250 kilometers away. He walked. It took him 7 days to be there. So finally, he reached at the place where his 5 friends were actually practicing this practice. Then he told them. Then he told his 5 friends that he taught them the middle way. He told his friends, what did he tell them? He says, I will recite this in Pali. This is from the Dhamma Sharing Sutta, the small stanza. Ete bhikkhave ubo ante anupagamma majjima patipada tathagatena abhisambuddha chakku karani jnana karani upasamaya abhinyaya sambodhaya nibbhanaya samvattati. What does it say? It says here is, O monks, avoiding these 2 extremes, the Tathagata realized the middle path. He told his 5 friends, avoiding the 2 extremes. By following the middle path, he found enlightenment. And what is this middle path? This middle path, let me also remind you, some people prefer to call it the central teaching, the central path, because when we say middle, people are confused between the extreme and the other extreme, go to in between the extreme. It is not the combination of 1 and 2 and finding the middle. No. The Buddha says the middle path is a way. The middle path is a separate way to enlightenment. It is not the mixture of the extremes. Don't think it is the mixture of the extreme because it's a middle one. No. So to avoid that, some people use the word central way. Right? But okay, the old word, we still continue to say the middle path. The Buddha says you follow the middle path. And what is the middle path? It's called Majjhima Patipada. Majjhima Patipada. So the Buddha says, O monks, avoid these 2 extremes. What extreme? That is too much of sensual pleasure and too much of self-mortification. There's too much of self-mortification and too much of the sensual pleasure. Atta kilamatanu yogo. That is self-mortification. Or kame sukali kanu yogo. Too much of sensual pleasures. These 2 extremes are no good. Follow the middle path. Again, I say middle path is a separate way, not combination of these 2. Let's not confuse ourselves there. So Buddha says you follow this. And the question here is, we should ask ourselves, what is Majjhima Patipada? What is the middle path that we follow? All right? And what has inspired me is the Buddha can avoid these 2 extremes. He was extremely involved with sensual pleasures as a prince. He went through this kind of extreme practice. He could realize that this is all completely wrong. And he found the Majjhima Patipada, which we call the middle path. And what is this Majjhima Patipada? It is Ayameva Aryo Atangiko Maggo. That means it is the noble 8-fold path and nothing else. That's what the Buddha says in Dhamma Sharing Sutta. In the Dhamma Sharing Sutta, the Buddha says, Etete bhikkhave ubo ante anupagamma majjhima patipada tathagatena abhisambuddha chakku karani jnana karani upasamaya abhinyaya sambodhaya nibbhanaya samvattati. Then ayameva aryo attangiko maggo. That is to say, it is a noble 8-fold path and nothing else. And nothing else. We just have to train ourselves the 8-fold path. 8-fold path is the path to the end of suffering. End of suffering. So see, so Buddha has sacrificed himself so much. 6 years of austerity life, 6 years of punishing his body, given up life of luxury. He went through the experience. That is why we say that Buddhism is experiential. The Buddha did not talk from theory that inspires us. And he did not learn it from somebody else and came to share with us. No, he went through this from his own. He went through this experience. That is why he went through all this kind of torture, and he says that this is no good. Those austerity last time, the ascetics practice all kinds of things, they also practice to be like animals, sometimes they want to behave like dogs, eat like dogs, sometimes they learn, they even eat cow dung, they also behave like goats and eat grass, and they think this brings them to enlightenment. These are the extreme practice, that is very surprising, which we do not know, but actually, yes, it's in the books, because the extreme ascetics there last time also. Sometimes they don't want to wear clothes, they walk naked. So these are not ethical. So the Buddha is not teaching us all this, So the Buddha is not teaching us all this. The extreme way. People behave like animals. What for? But they think this is the way to torture their body, and then they become enlightened. By torturing this body, your mind becomes enlightened. The Buddha says no. You weaken this body, your mind becomes weak also. Don't weaken the body. But don't abuse the body also. Right? And that is the teaching of the Buddha. That is, so what the Buddha says is you follow the Eightfold Path. Correct? The Buddha says, Ayameva Aryo Atangiko Maggo. Follow the Eightfold Path. Correct? Here we have to learn when we chant these words. We are not Pali scholars. Let's qualify ourselves again. But at least we learn the word Magga as the path, the way, Magga. So we remember the word Magga and Atta. Atta means 8. Yeah, Atta is 8, so 8. So we remember these two words. We catch the words. Say, Ayameva Aryo. Aryo means Arya path. Arya means noble. Okay. So Ayameva Aryo Atangiko Maggo. The Buddha says it's the Eightfold Path and nothing else. And what are the Eightfold Paths here the Buddha is propagating? So Buddha has made his teachings very simple. That's what inspires me. Actually, we have to follow the Eightfold Path. It inspires, although it's difficult. It's easier to say, easier said than done. But we have to follow. The Buddha show us the path very clearly. The Eightfold Path. What are the Eightfold Paths? The Buddha says, Samma Ditti. So we have to learn to recite this continuously. Then we will remember it by heart. Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappo, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanto, Samma Ajivo, Samma Vayamo, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. So when we learn it this way, we can remember the Eightfold Path. So we say again, Samma Ditti. What is Samma Ditti? The Buddha says, you must have the right understanding. We won't go into detail. These are all the inspirations that I get from him. So I'm sharing with you the inspiration. So the Buddha says, right understanding. Right? The next thing the Buddha says, Samma Sankappo, right thoughts. Your thoughts must be always right. Right? And the Buddha says, Samma Vacha, speech must be correct. Right? Don't always tell lies. Don't waste your time talking scandalous things, And the Buddha says, Samma Ajivo, right livelihood, which we have discussed last week also. We avoid those kind of livelihood, the 5 livelihoods that we Buddhists will avoid. Yeah. So we say that right livelihood and then put the right effort at the right time. The Buddha says, Samma Vayamo. Yeah. The detail, I think, will be discussed later by maybe Brother K.C. Lee during one of his Zoom sessions with you all. So, and then again, we say Samma Sati, the right mindfulness, and Samma Samadhi. Samma Samadhi is right concentration. Here again, you see, I have used the common English interpretation that people have used for a very, very long time. Yeah, although some scholars now, the newer scholars, have kind of proposed a different set of words for those words that I have used now. I still prefer to say dukkha as suffering. I still use that ditti as understanding, samadhi as concentration. I still maintain these kind of words. but the newer scholars have actually coined new English words to replace these words. They say this is more accurate. Now, but remember, I have mentioned this before, that dukkha can mean unsatisfactory, can mean stress, can mean suffering, can mean pain. But in different contexts, it means that. And the word dukkha in Pali has no equivalent. It actually entails all of this suffering, unsatisfactoriness, pain, depending on the situation. Therefore, sometimes we avoid this kind of intellectual argument because we are not intellectuals. Yeah? We are not Buddhist intellectuals, so we avoid this and we just tell them the word is dukkha. I think that will solve a lot of problems because we are not intellectuals here. I'm not an intellectual, so I will just say, yeah, okay, but the word is still dukkha. Yeah, so we remember. So when we chant these words, or when we try to say this word, we remember the Pali interpretation of the word also, so that it is clearer in us. It's easier to understand. It's clearer in us. That's why I say we still have to remember the Pali words. Yeah, because interpretation may not be that accurate. Today they say this, tomorrow another scholar will say another thing. But we remember that this kind of discussion is good. This scholarly discussion is very good for academicians. But we are Buddhist practitioners, so we want to practice. And so we say that sometimes we don't want to waste too much time on this kind of intellectual discussion on what this means, because we are not Pali scholars. So we remember the Pali word and we understand what you think it means, and you practice what you think it means. And this is how you will understand the teachings of the Buddha. I'm very inspired, so I use some of these Pali words. Although I am not a Pali scholar, but I try to remember these words, a few of these words that brings a lot of meaning to me. Meaning that I interpret, I see all the various versions and I will choose what is suitable for me, what is best for me to understand. Because the Buddha's teaching is a gradual learning process. It is meant for everybody at any time of point or any level of understanding. You start from where you are and you will be enlightened from where you are. Yeah, and that is what I believe. Okay, so the Buddha always say, don't waste too much time on this kind of intellectual things because it doesn't help you for liberation. What is important is discussion to help you for liberation. Yeah, and not all this kind of interpretation that we go into a big argument. Don't waste our time. That's what the Buddha says. Let me demonstrate to you. I will demonstrate to you exactly what the Buddha says. Yeah. Okay, so now let us now get another set of inspiration from the Buddha, from the qualities of the Buddha. Yeah? The qualities of the Buddha. Let me recite for you the qualities of the Buddha, which we did earlier. Maybe we are not aware. It's Itipiso Bhagava Arahang Samma Sambuddho Vidya Charana Sampanno Sugato Loka Vidu Anuttaro Purisa Dhamma Sarati Satta Deva Manusanang Buddho Bhagavati. So what did the Buddha, what does the stanza say? First thing what he says, Itipiso Bhagava Arahang. What is Arahang? Arahant. What is Arahant? Or is Arahat in Pali? It is people who have overcome greed, hatred, and delusion. Yeah, we have said it again that the one way to become enlightened is to be an arahat, to become an arahant. That is through the teachings of the Buddha, through the complete understanding of the Four Noble Truths in the 12th aspect, which we will touch later. Understanding of the Four Noble Truths in the 12th aspect, you are enlightened. Okay, you become an arahant. Yeah? And arahant means you've given up greed, hatred, delusion. What does that mean? That means you can be trusted. You have no more greed in you. You have no more hatred in you. You are not deluded. You can be trusted fully. You are enlightened. Yeah. So the Buddha is an arahant. That means he has overcome greed, hatred, delusion. He can be trusted. His words will be true. And the second word he says here is Arahant Samma Sambuddho. What is Samma Sambuddho? Samma Sambuddha, again, we have discussed last time, last week, I think. Again, I will repeat, we become enlightened through as Samma Sambuddha, and that means fully enlightened, or we become Pachaka Buddha, or we become Arahant. Yeah. The Buddha was an Arahant, and he's also a Samma Sambuddha. He's fully enlightened. What does that mean? Fully enlightened means, you see, like we have mentioned earlier, he went through training with Alara Kalama, he went through training with Uddaka Ramaputta. He has gone through a lot of trainings, a lot of things he has experienced, he has gone through a lot of experience. That is why it's experiential, we say. Now, did he go and waste his time teaching us all this? Correct? He is a Samma Sambuddha, don't forget, he knows a lot of things. He knows how the world was formed also, He knows everything. Correct? But he did not want to discuss all these intellectual things because it does not help us in our liberation. Now, let me demonstrate to you. There was once one of his followers called Malunkyā Putta. I have discussed this, I think, last week again, but I'll just repeat this for the benefit of those who were not in our discussion group last week. Malunkyā Putta also asked the Buddha these 10 questions, He says, I will follow you, provided you answer these 10 questions. Is the world finite? Is the world infinite? Does the Buddha exist after death? Or the Buddha doesn't exist after death? Or is it that the Buddha exists and don't exist after death? Or the Buddha don't exist and don't exist after death? So, but then the Buddha told him, these are not important questions, and I did not promise you all these answers when you joined me. Did I tell you that I will answer these questions when you join me? No. Did you ask me to agree to explain to you before you join me? No. You came to join me to learn the simple thing of overcoming suffering. I will teach you what is necessary to overcome suffering. What is suffering defined as birth, aging, sickness, and death. So the Buddha says, I am teaching you to overcome suffering. That's all. Okay? Then he agreed. Then he was surprised. Oh, yeah, correct. Then he accepted. Then eventually he became an Arahant also. Right? Because Buddha didn't want to waste too much time on explaining to you how the world was formed. This was eons and eons and eons away. And kalpas away also. Billions and billions of years. So the Buddha wanted to teach you all this. It's just like a man being shot with an arrow. Remember last week we said, you've been shot with an arrow, we take you to a doctor. And then before the doctor will treat you, say, don't pull out the arrow. I want to know who shot me first. I want to know who made the arrow. I want to know what feathers they use. I want to know what is the arrowhead made of, stone or steel. So many questions asked. Then the doctor says, I don't do anything, you'll die. Finish. Correct. So it's not important, the Buddha says. It's important is to treat you, to heal you, and to bring you out of suffering, out of this samsaric cycle. So we must remember, my inspiration comes that the Buddha only teaches things that are necessary for me. The Buddha didn't want to waste time on things that are not conducive to my liberation. Buddha is a very wise man. He is fully enlightened. He's a Samma Sambuddha. But he didn't want to tell me all this because knowing well, maybe I won't understand. Knowing well, it doesn't help me. These intellectual things, this argument, what for? Hey, Bratan, you're not intellectual. What for you argue on these intellectual things? Correct. So that is why the Buddha says that you don't waste too much time on these things. And how the Buddha demonstrated again in Kosambi, the Buddha grabbed some dried leaves in his hands. Remember, I explained this, I think last week again, hands, and asked all his disciples there, which is more, the leaves in my hands or the leaves in the forest? Which is more? You say, Bante, leaves in the forest more than the leaves in your hands. Leaves in your hand, nothing. Yes, the Buddha says, yes. But what I teach you is this much. It is good enough for your liberation, that the leaves in my hand is good enough for your liberation. Although I know so much as the leaves that are in the forest, but it doesn't help you in your liberation. So I won't tell you all these things. I only teach you what is good for you, what is good for you for your liberation. Yeah. So that is why I'm inspired by him. He knows how to choose what to teach you. And you see, he says that this is the Four Noble Truths you have to understand. Huh? The truth of suffering. He's teaching us to overcome this, the truth of suffering. Correct? But as a doctor, he tells us that the cause of suffering, he gives us the medication also, what is the cause of suffering, and the place to end suffering, and the method to end suffering, the way. Remember I said Majjhima Patipada, that is the fourth noble truth to help you in your suffering, to overcome suffering. And these things, the Buddha says, there are 12 aspects of understanding. Not just knowing, oh brother, I know what the truth of suffering. I also know the truth of the cause of suffering. I also know the way to overcome suffering. I also know the method. I know everything. I know. He says, but the Buddha says it's not good enough. Knowing that, the Buddha says the Dukkhaṃ Arya Satchaṃ, the noble truth of suffering, is not good enough. You know the noble truth of suffering. You try to perceive it, try to understand it. And then you must fully understand suffering, the Buddha says. When you have fully understood suffering, that's very good. There's a 3 aspects of suffering that you know. You know suffering, you try to perceive suffering, and suffering have been perceived. And that is what we should do. There's a 12 aspect of the Four Noble Truths times 3. And also the Buddha said, Dukkhaṃ Arya Satchaṃ, Dukkha Nirodha, how to stop suffering, the end of suffering, the cause of suffering, the way to the end of suffering, and the Eightfold Path, Gamini Patipada. So what the Buddha says here is, when you know that this, you must actually try to fully perceive and understand suffering. You know the cause of suffering. You must try to eradicate the cause of suffering, the Buddha says. Not knowing, oh, cause of suffering is craving. Yeah, everybody knows, but everybody's still craving. But you try to understand craving, right? When you have tried to understand, you eradicate craving, then you must be fully eradicated. You give up greed, hatred, delusion. Right? That is what we have to do. Until you fully eradicate suffering, then you are there. Not only knowing suffering as a cause, knowing everybody knows suffering as a cause, yeah. But we must try to eradicate that kind of suffering. All right? And then we must be fully eradicated. That's what the Buddha says. Yeah? And also you must know that Nibbana is the end of suffering. So what do? You try to develop your mind to Nibbana, develop that quality of Nibbana. Correct? Until it's fully developed, then you are there. Correct? And then last but not least, you must practice the cause, the path to the end of suffering. You must fully understand and you must fully develop all these 4 aspects of the noble truth of suffering. When you have understood this, then only you can say that you understood the cause of suffering. Right? So the Buddha actually normally teaches us only what we need. So we understand, okay. Okay, there is also a short comment here, but I don't see your Facebook, I'm on Zoom. But there's a comment here. I'm told that we have also said that we also see the 4 sides. Somebody has commented this is from my brother Casey Lee. We also see 4 sides, but we are still not inspired to find the truth. Why? Something for us to contemplate, he says. Yeah, that's true. The reason is because we do not have Yoniso Manasikara. Yeah, Yoniso Manasikara is the right attention. If we pay right attention, eventually we will see that. We will be inspired. And we will say the Yatha Bhutang Jnana Dasanam. We see things as it is. So this is our development until you have the 12 aspects of the Four Noble Truths. When you have understood the 4 aspects of the Four Noble Truths, then only you say that you are enlightened. So you must keep on continuing to understand the truth of suffering, to know, and you try to, like I said earlier, to perceive and completely perceive, completely understand the perceived suffering. That is the 3rd aspect of understanding suffering. And there are 3 aspects in all the Four Noble Truths. And you see, then also you must try to develop the Eightfold Path. You know that this Eightfold Path is helping you to eradicate suffering. We know, but we are trying to develop ourselves. We must do until it's fully developed. The word they use is actually Bhavitanti me bhikkhave pubbe ananusute sudhamme su. That means until it has been fully developed. The Buddha says he never said that he's enlightened until he understood the Four Noble Truths in these 12 aspects. Yeah, 12 aspects of understanding the Four Noble Truths. Okay, we will discuss that maybe later during the Zoom session. Okay, so then again, I say I'm inspired by the Buddha because the Buddha knows what to tell me, what to teach, but I didn't have the chance to be born at the time of the Buddha. That is our inspiration today. Born during the time of the Buddha, then he knows, when he sees you, he knows what you need. So the Buddha doesn't need to tell you long stories of what I'm doing now. I'm telling you week after week, and I cannot enlighten you because I'm not enlightened. But if you meet the Buddha, one word from the Buddha, you can be enlightened because he's fully enlightened. He knows what is missing in you. We do not know. So the Buddha knows what is missing in you. That is why. Example, I give example how the Buddha teaches people. The Buddha doesn't need to call you to come to the room and explain to you suttas after suttas after suttas. That's what we are doing now. We are learning, whatever is teaching, he's teaching, everybody's teaching. We are learning, but we are not enlightened. The Buddha doesn't need to do that. For Angulimala, such a vicious man, such a man will go around killing everybody to get their little finger, to make a garland of 1,000 fingers for his master. Very ferocious man, very fierce. How did the Buddha teach him? Did the Buddha catch him, tie him, and then tell him, you listen to me every day, I don't feed you, you listen, then I feed you? No. The Buddha walked in front of him. He was running after the Buddha. You see how the Buddha teach people? The Buddha was pacing in front of him, walking nicely, slowly. But Angulimala is known to be a fast runner. He's a sprinter. Itu Olympic memang dia menang in Olympic. He's known to be a fast sprinter. He can run as fast as a horse. He ran very fast, but he couldn't catch the Buddha. The Buddha was walking nicely, normal pace. We call it pacing only. He couldn't get. He ran, and the Buddha was walking slowly. He couldn't catch the Buddha. He wanted to kill the Buddha, remember? He didn't know he was a Buddha then. Then he was so tired. Then he told him, stop. He shouted at the Buddha, stop, he says. That is the word that the Buddha wanted to hear from him. The Buddha turned back and said, yes, I have stopped. You have not stopped. Then he was taken aback. Hey, why? Why did this man telling me? He has stopped. I have not stopped. What do you mean? The Buddha says, I have stopped from living or traveling in this samsaric cycle of birth and rebirth, birth and rebirth. Birth, growing old, fall sick and die. Birth and rebirth, fall sick and die. You are still continuing that journey. I have stopped. You have not stopped. You see, from that word stop, the Buddha wanted to hear from him. Then the Buddha explained to him the meaning of the word stop. Then he was shocked. He was taken aback. Then he followed the Buddha, became a disciple of the Buddha. He eventually became an arahant. That's how the Buddha teaches people. Don't need to call him and give him long lectures. No, one word called stop. S-T-O-P. And that was a trigger for him to join the Buddha's Sangha. Again, we talk about another case. How the Buddha teaches people. I want to tell you how he teaches, So don't worry about knowing too much. Practice is the word. Buddhism is an experiential teaching. So now we talk about Queen Kema. Queen Khema, sorry, it's called Khema. Queen Khema is, okay, some say he's a consort of King Bibisara, some say he's the queen. Is it important to know king, queen, or consort? It's not important, isn't it? That is why I'm trying to say today, let us not worry about this nitty-gritty. Some historians say he's only a consort, some historians say he's a queen. Ignore this. Remember, Khema became a bhikkhuni. She was actually like Sariputta. For the bhikkhu, Sariputta is known to have full of wisdom. Yeah, Moggallana is full of psychic power, equal to the Buddha. Wisdom equal to the Buddha, Sariputta. Yeah. So for the bhikkhuni, we have got one called Bhikkhuni Khema, and Bhikkhuni Upalavanna. She is equivalent to Moggallana in the psychic power, and Khema, the consort or the queen of King Bimbisara, became a bhikkhuni, and she was equal to Sariputta in knowledge. That means for the bhikkhus, we have these two men, bhikkhuni, we have these two ladies. Okay, what was the story then? Queen Khema, I call her queen, Queen Khema is a beautiful girl, a very pretty lady, beautiful and very intelligent. But she refused to attend any of the Buddha's talk, And King Bimbisara was very concerned for her. He's a very nice man, a kind man. So he wants to also help his wife. Go and learn from the Buddha. He's a very strong supporter of the Buddha. King Bimbisara is a patron of the Buddha. He gave the Venuvane, that is the bamboo grove, to the Buddha to make a monastery there, the squirrel sanctuary, they call it. So the Buddha spent 3 years there, they say. Okay. So now the Buddha is trying to get her to attend some of the talk, but couldn't succeed. So, sorry, the King Bimbisara tried. King Bimbisara tried to persuade her to listen to one of the Buddha's talk, but she refused. She was afraid that the Buddha will comment on her beauty or comment on her vanity. So she didn't want to go near the Buddha. The Buddha will comment. You see? King Bimbisara was smart, so he sent some musician there. You go and sing to her and tell her nice tune that our park, the bamboo grove, is a beautiful place to go. It's a very nice place. The squirrel sanctuary is very nice. The Buddha is living there. Tell her to go and visit the place. It's very nice. Not to listen to the Buddha, but to visit the place. So the singers went there and sang beautiful tune to Queen Khema, and one day she agreed to go and visit that beautiful place. So when she went to visit that park, the Buddha was preaching that day. So she went to one far corner and sat there. Didn't want to be spotted by the Buddha, want to hid in a corner to listen to what the Buddha was saying. But the Buddha, like we said, he's a Sambuddha. He has also a lot of psychic powers. He doesn't want to use it unnecessarily. Doesn't want to use it to convince you to become a Buddhist. No. To follow his teachings. No. So the Buddha, with the psychic power, noticed that Queen Khema was in the corner of the crowd listening. So what did the Buddha do? Like I said, the Buddha has to just show you 1 or 2 things and you follow. That's the wisdom of the Buddha, which we are inspired, but we cannot do that. Now, when the Buddha noticed that Queen Khema was there among the crowd, the Buddha, with his magical psychic power, made her that she only can see the vision of a very beautiful girl. All these tawa things of heaven are all very pretty and very beautiful, you said. So the Buddha made her see that vision of a very nice, beautiful lady fanning him as he was giving his talk. Yeah. So Queen Khema could see it, others cannot see it. Now only she can see. Okay, the Buddha made it in such a way. So when Queen Khema saw that, hey, where is that beautiful girl coming from? Oh, she is definitely very pretty, very pretty. I'm only a fraction of her beauty. Where is she from? So the Buddha knew. And then the Buddha transformed that pretty young girl into a middle-aged woman. Then she transformed the middle-aged woman and still fanning the Buddha. Yeah, all those kings with the feather fan, they fan by the side as you talk. So she saw, hey, this lady has grown a bit old. Maybe less beautiful, maybe like me now. Then the Buddha transformed her again to an old lady, very old lady with wrinkled skin and all that. Then she saw, hey, she's become old now. And then the lady collapsed and she died. Then Queen Kema realized, Queen Kema realized the impermanence. That is the word. So Buddha only need to tell her, teach her on impermanence, and you got her there. So when she saw that image, what happens? She quickly realized that the law of impermanence. Remember, the law of impermanence is very important. So what did she do? She also became the disciple of the Buddha, and she became the top bhikkhuni with wisdom. You see how she developed so fast? So the Buddha knew. The Buddha, as a Samma Sambuddha, can know what you need and teaches you what is necessary. So that is why my advice is, I get all this inspiration and I only learn what is necessary. All right. After all, we are not scholars. We don't have to learn more. Many people are scholars. I know, they read a lot of suttas. They can tell you a lot of good stories. Yeah. If it is suitable for you to learn that way, please learn that way. If you just want some basic way how to live life, that Diga Janu also asked the Buddha, what lay people can do. That we lay people, we still enjoy a bit of entertainment. The ladies still enjoy a bit of makeup. We still enjoy the company of our family. We still like to have company of friends. We still like to have festivals at home, celebration. We are mundane people. So how about us? He asked the Buddha. Correct. So see, so lay people also ask the Buddha, now what about us? Your ascetics, you renounce everything, but we still attached to this kind of family life. So how? The Buddha says there's no problem at all. You layman, live your layman's life. Right? Layman's life, we have got our own responsibilities. Time may not be, I don't have the time to explain to you, but the Buddha says at least a few things like, you must upgrade your skill. To be a good layman, you upgrade your skill daily. Correct? And the money you earn, you must learn to save. The money you earn, you must know to spend properly. The money you earn, you must be able to help your parents. So that is the duties of a layman. Right? So the Buddha's teachings is very broad. It's not only for these bhikkhus and the bhikkhunis, the 4 pillars of Buddhism. Yeah, we also are included. The Buddha also taught the lay people how to live the lay people's life. Yeah. So I hope that so that is what the Buddha is teaching us, to live a morally upright life as a lay person. We also can do that. That is important. Yeah, that is the teaching that we have today. And of course, to sum up what I have said today, there are many more things. Maybe we'll continue the next time I have an opportunity to be with you. But sum up, we say is please refer to Dhammapada 183, Sabba Pa Pasa Akaranang Kusalasa Upasampada Sachitta Pariyoda Panang Etang Buddhana Sasanang. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. That means the Buddha says you just avoid evil, do good, and purify your mind. And that is what we have to do. Buddhism is simply like that. But there are many ways to approach. That's all. So with that, I say thank you very much for your attention. And I hope that when we meet again, we will continue with inspiration. I think there's a lot to talk about inspiration. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. So over to you, Brother Terence, for your closing.
Do join us tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. for Dd Leng Huat's explanation on the Dajaga Sutta. And on Tuesday, we'll have Bante Prago Adibalo to guide us on meditation based on the subject of Mahasatipatthana Sutta. Now we shall do the closing and dedication of merits. Dd Leng Huat, you want to lead?
Okay. So let's recite together. Akasata cha bhummata devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakhantu loka sasanang ettavata cha ammehi Sampadang Punya Sampadang Sabbe Deva Sabbe Bhuta Sabbe Satta Anumodantu Sabba Sampatti Siddhya Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Idang me nyati nang hotu sukita hontu nyatayo. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu. Yava Nibbana Patiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.
Thank you everyone for joining us. For other videos, please click on the link below or scan the QR code. Thank you for watching. See you all next week. Bye-bye.